Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Oh, yes, he will. And yes, he does. Oh, good morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to Java with Jan. I'm Jan, your hostess with the mostest, and it is a blessing and privilege for me to be here with you today. Whew. It's been a wonderful week for me. I hope it has been for you. Today, I want to share with you memories of my grandfather. His birthday was March the 3rd. And had he lived, he would have been 100. Hold on a second. I almost had this. He would have been 121 years old. Wow, because he was born in 1903. My grandfather was, I believe he was the second generation born, well, the first generation from his father, born out of slavery. His father, who was a senior, I don't believe he was born in slavery. He could have been, I don't know, but I think he was born outside of slavery. And my grandfather was born in 1903. See, I think before 1910 or 1908, there were no birth certificates. Births and deaths were recorded in the Bibles, and I don't have a Bible from that time from any family member. So I'm just going by logic and time. My father was the second generation born outside of slavery, and I'm the third generation. So I don't know anything about slavery. And what I know is that my family was very blessed, very blessed. And my grandfather was a hard worker, and he taught us to take care of ourselves. We didn't depend on people giving us things. That wasn't our way. We worked hard and saved. And one thing about my grandfather, he was a man who took care of his family. In the household that I grew up in, because I grew up with my father's sisters and brothers, because my father was deceased and my mother had to take a long vacation. That's what we call it. And I was raised by my grandparents from the age of 3 until I graduated high school and left home, which I left home about 18 years old. And his family, the way he raised his family, all of us lived in this 3-bedroom apartment. I had 2 aunts and 2 uncles, and nobody left home until they got married, even the boys. So that was the way. And for the girls, I remember when they were getting married, when they were thinking about getting married, their intended, before he became their fiance, would come to the house and sit and in the kitchen and talk to my grandfather and ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. And my grandfather would talk to them, and I guess some of the things he would ask them was, well, how are you going to take care of them, and what are your intentions, and da da da. I don't know all of that, but I know that my aunties did not get married until their father, my grandfather, gave their intended fiancés permission, his um, permission to ask for their hand in marriage. And when when that happened, then they were officially engaged. And their fiancés, until the day that they got married, would visit them at the house, and that's how they did it. And if they went out together, there was no coming home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They came in at, most of the time, I think my aunts came in before midnight, because there used to be a saying, there ain't nothing open at night but bars and legs. That's what he used to say. So you didn't want that. But I know one thing about my grandfather. One of the things that he told those intendeds, were the intended fiance, was, if there comes a time that you don't want my daughter anymore, don't put your hands on her. Send her back home, or call me and I'll come and get her. And I know that for a fact, because my grandfather had to do it with one of his daughters. He went and got his daughter. He was told, my grandfather, that she was being physically abused by him, and he wasn't having that. And I believe he called my aunt's, one of my uncles, her brother, to take him to them. And my grandfather brought her back home, packed her bags and brought her butt back home. And she stayed until she wanted to do something different. Now, my aunt was grown. She was a grown woman. She wasn't a kid. But that's what a man does. He protects his children, especially his girls. So, and another thing I remember about him, my grandfather and I did not really get along. As a matter of fact, I didn't like him because I thought he was hard on me. But he was just being a man, and I had to understand that whether I liked it or not, I was under his roof, and I had to abide by the rules. And the interesting thing is, I always like to be out. I like to be in the street, because I was an only child and I grew up in a household of adults. So I wanted to be around other children. And I would, sneak, lie, do whatever to be with the other children, but I would get busted. And when I got busted, he took care of that. And the interesting thing is, when I was old enough and left home, those very same things that I like to do being out, I didn't want to do them. I didn't want to be in the street late at night. Going to a party, usually I was home by, I was at the point where I could go to a party 9 o'clock at night or midnight. That didn't interest me. So I think most of it was the rebellion in my heart that made me want to do these things. But I thank God that he disciplined me, and in my day, that disciplining was a spanking, okay, and it was what it was. I don't call it abuse, I call it love, because if he abused me, it would have been allowing me to hang out there and act crazy and wild. But he didn't do that. He loved me enough to discipline me, to spank me. And he didn't bruise me. He didn't break my arm or anything. Most of the time I got whipped on my butt so that when I sat down, I would remember what I did. But my grandfather taught me a lot of things, and he was really a good man. He was good to his family. He was good to my grandmother. He loved us. He provided a secure home for us. I lived in the same apartment with them for 16 years of my life, the same apartment. And when my grandmother eventually moved to our home in Virginia, she asked me if I wanted to live in that apartment. And she had made arrangements. She had talked to the landlord to turn the apartment over to me. It would come at a little increase in rent, but the apartment would legally be mine. All I had to do was sign the lease. But I told her no, I didn't want to go back to the neighborhood. But my grandfather, to this day, I haven't really allowed myself to think much about him. But when I do, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I was raised in his household. It was a household of love and respect. You respected the parents, you respected yourself, and the things that you did outside the home was a reflection on your family. So that kind of kept the wild girl in check. But yeah, I'm thankful. I'm when I look back, I'm really thankful. And so I say, thank you, Papa, because that's what I used to call him. Papa, thank you, Papa, for loving me. Oh, I forgot to tell you. One time I was away, living in another state, and I needed to come back home. I couldn't handle it. And I called my grandmother, and she said, well, I don't have the money. I'll ask your grandfather. And she did. And he sent me the money. He sent me the money for my ticket to come back home. Even though I didn't come back to their house, I did come back to the city that we lived in. And that really solidified for me the fact that my grandfather loved me, because he could have let me stay where I was, but he didn't. So in his way, yeah, he came and got his girl. He could not go physically, but he sent for me. He sent the money for me to come back home. And so for that, I thank you, Papa. Thank you, and I love you. And also, before he died, I was able to go and see him while he was in the hospital. And he looked like he was glad to see me. He didn't expect to, but he did. And I was glad that I had gone. And I had gone to tell him that I loved him, because we didn't leave. When I left home, we didn't leave on such good terms. But I did love my grandfather, and because he was all that I knew. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful, and I thank you, Father God, that I was born into that family. I thank you, because he knew what was best. See, when we're kids, we don't have a choice, but we in the families that we're born into, but we have a choice in how we respond to those families. So thank you. Thank you, Father God, for that family, for my family. Thank you, and thank you. That's all I can say right now. So I hope this kind of blessed you by hearing this, because maybe you have some situations in your life. We can always look at the bad, but look at the good. Look at who you are now. And I thank you. And that's all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And so on that note, I'm going to end. Thank you for listening. And I hope it blessed somebody. Have a God blessed day. Until next time.